What's up, guys? This is gonna be part two of my trade deadline video. I'm not gonna talk about every team. I've already talked about the Cardinals and some of the deals that went down, the night before and early on in the day of, the trade deadline. But I've chosen 10 teams to talk about, broke them up in 4 categories. Got teams that I thought were winners and losers, and then split that up into teams that were buyers and sellers, and who I thought was winners and losers. I'm going to start with 3 teams that were buyers, and I thought they had good deadlines, so I listed them as winners. First team is the Cubs. I mean, they made a deal a couple weeks ago with the Mets to get David Peterson. You knew they were going to target a ton of pitching, and I think that's all they really got. They did get Tyrone Taylor included in a deal. Just outfield depth, maybe a guy that can hit against lefties, but they went and got David Peterson. It's been almost a month ago now, probably about 3 weeks ago. They went and got Clay Holmes. They got Braxton Garrett. I really liked what they did, and Kevin Gausman. So you got, I feel like they got another reliever too. But they really addressed, they got like 5 pitchers that can really help them. And then hopefully in the second half, some guys can come up and, guys can get off the injury list and come and help them too. Justin Steele and some other guys that have been hurt most of the year. But, I mean, the pure amount of guys that they got and is a W. And then also the only prospect I think of real value that they gave up was in the Clay Holmes, Tyrone Taylor deal, Jefferson Rojas. I think he's listed as like a top 60 prospect, shortstop guy. But I understand you can't really look at it this way, especially when you evaluate, future value of like how much WAR he accumulates for the Mets. But he was not going to get to play for them. Like, the Cubs infield is just jam-packed. They gave up some other infielders, Tate Southesine, I believe, Jonathan Long, gave in of an outfielder, and Brett Bateman. So they gave up several guys, but only real prospect that I think they will quote-unquote miss is Jefferson Rojas. But, I mean, what role is he going to fill besides like a Matt Shaw role? And you have Matt Shaw. So, I think it's a huge dub. They're clearly going for it. I think they are very likely going to have a wild card spot. Don't think they can catch the Brewers. Who knows? I mean, you never know baseball. But I really liked what the Cubs did. They went and acquired a lot of guys. Garrett is the only guy with control, but you go out and acquire some depth and a guy that you want to make a playoff start in Kevin Gausman. So really like what the Cubs did. Padres, kind of the same thing. They didn't get quite as many guys. Really thought they were going to add to their offense as well, but they did give up, I think he's their second-ranked prospect, Cash Mayfield. It's either him or Schoolcraft in the Casey Mize deal. So that could age poorly if, for half a year, a rental starting pitcher. But starting pitching was their big need. They have the best bullpen in the league, and their offense has really kicked it in gear here the last couple weeks, especially Jackson. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Jackson Merrill, yeah. But Tatis has picked it up a little bit, and Machado. So they're relying on those guys, and then they really have. I mean, if King and Pivetta can come back off the IL, I mean, I think they really have a solid rotation, and then they have one of the best bullpens. They don't even need a great rotation. They just need 5 and dive guys that can push it to the bullpen and still be in the game. So I think the Padres did a really good job of that, of Casey Mize and Robbie Ray. Like I said, they did give up one of their higher ranked prospects, but I mean, that's Who wouldn't have thought that with Preller? Last team that I thought was a buyer that had a win, that won. I mean, there's going to be other teams like this, but for this video, it's the Rays. I think they did a really good job. I thought the package for Liam Hicks was going to be a lot more with how much control he has and how well he's played this year. And he, besides Rutschman, I mean, he was the best catcher dealt. I think that's fair to say. Yeah. I really was surprised with how they didn't have to give a top 100 prospect for that. And then the Freddie Peralta deal I thought was really good as well. I know there's another move that they made that I'm kind of missing right now, but those were the two big deals. They addressed their catcher, which was their weakest position, to a guy that you can count on. Maybe he's outperforming, maybe he's due for a little regression, but I think if you can get that similar production from Liam Hicks throughout the rest of the year, it's a huge dub. And then the Freddie Peralta, just another solid arm. I know he hasn't performed great this year, been a little unlucky. He's not getting the swing and miss, but I don't know. It's kind of a cursed Mets season. I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. It's just no one has really played well there, pitching-wise. And I say that. Clay Holmes has been really good as well. But it's been a bad season for the Mets, and hopefully we'll see Peralta pitch better down the stretch. And then, the Rays are likely going to win the division. But I thought those were two really big deals, especially Liam Hicks, because he has the control, and the Rays have really never had a good catcher. So hopefully Liam Hicks can produce and be one of the – it's gonna sound crazy, but be one of the best Rays catchers they've ever had. And if he's rocking 800 OPS, that's likely going to be the case. Now, the team – I only have one team listed as a buyer that I had as a loss. I think it's no surprise here. It's the Braves. I think the Braves didn't really need to address much. Their bullpen has been great. Their offense, you could have used – you got a platoon bat in Lane Thomas for the outfield. You traded Eli White. I know he's a light-hitting utility guy, but I thought you could have kept him. I didn't understand that. Maybe he's you just didn't want to pay him. I think he's getting paid about $5 million. I could be wrong on that, but I didn't understand that move as much because he's just a super utility guys, and I feel like teams usually value them more than the public. But you get Lane Thomas, you get Bailey Falter, you give up a couple lower ranking pitching prospects for that deal. I've heard Lucas Braun's name before, which is saying something, but really, I really wanted them to get Kevin Gausman or Freddie Peralta. I really wanted them to get another playoff starter behind Chris Sale. And I know how good Schwellenbach has been. Not this year. He's been hurt most of the year. But throughout his young career. But I don't think it's wise to be counting on him to be coming back from injury and be his best self. Strider hasn't looked like himself since all those injuries. Hurston Waldrop, AJ Smith-Shawver, those guys are young and relatively unproven. I think they just – and I understand you don't want to empty the farm by any means, but I really thought they could have made a more aggressive move for a bona fide playoff starter. I was disappointed with the Braves deadline for sure. Now this is 5 teams that were sellers that I thought had a really good deadline. First team is the Mets. It's understandable why they had such a good deadline. They have pretty well recognized good GM, but then also they were built to be a contender, so they had a lot of pieces to move. I already mentioned the Clay Holmes deal. They got a top 100 guy in that. I was a little disappointed with the Luke Weaver deal, but it's understandable. He's on a bigger contract for a reliever. He does have an extra year control, but thought they could have got more for him. But I'm kind of blanking on some of the other moves they made. I liked the Peralta deal a little bit for them. I wasn't too familiar with the second base prospect that they got back, but I've definitely heard of the pitcher. Is it Gary Gilhill? It's kind of a cool name. It's a high floor guy, throws a lot of strikes, like has one of the highest strike percentage in the minors. And then I've definitely heard of I'm gonna forget his name, but the outfielder they got, Smith. It might be something else. I might be blanking on that. But he's a power guy, some speed, defense, but has a lot of swing and miss in his game. Might be able to, high risk, high reward kind of prospect. So but I mean, for half a season of an underperforming starting pitcher, although he has the track record, thought that was a pretty good deal. Who else did they move of note? They didn't move Alvarez. I thought for sure one of their catchers was going to get moved. They didn't move any of their young position players like Brett Beatty or Mark Vientos. But overall, I thought they had a pretty good seller's deadline. The Blue Jays, I really liked their deadline as well. They were able to get off of Jeff Hoffman's money. I think he only had one more year. But and then they did sell. This is one of the only other top 100 prospects that got traded. But Namala got traded for Jose Soriano, and they bought with control. They traded Gossman. I didn't really like the return there, but he wasn't going to get a whole lot being a rental starting pitcher. But I thought him being one of the starters with a better track record, he would get a little bit more. But you had to move him. Varsho, I think his package was a little light, but he hasn't played super well. Not near as well as he did last year. Oh wait, no. I was thinking of a different deal. I like that deal as well. I was thinking Arrighetti didn't have as much control, but he does have a lot of control. So you bought with some control with Arrighetti, and you bought with some control with Soriano. So I really liked both those deals. So yeah, I mean, I know you gave up a top 100 prospect, but Namala, I think he's been kind of passed up by the recent shortstop draft pick, JoJo Parker. So I like that deal. Angels, they were a seller. I know they were in that deal with the Blue Jays, so they got a top 100 prospect. I like that. I really just liked mostly that the Angels were committed to selling. That was like the biggest thing with the Angels. Besides Namala, I'm not too familiar with a lot of the prospects they got back, but just them selling was a huge dub. And they got at least one, and then top 100 prospect that you could probably count on to be a big league contributor. And then, a lot of other prospects that you hope can contribute in some way. The Cardinals, I've talked about them a little bit. I was a little light on the Nootbaar trade. I didn't want to see him go. But they get a guy that projects to be back in the bullpen. I mean, not back in the bullpen, back in the rotation guy, and Egan. Strike throwing guy. And then the other guy I don't know hardly anything about, and then a player to be named later. I didn't like it as much, but I was really impressed with the deal that they made with the Brewers, getting a couple high upside outfielders for 2 rentals, 1 starter, 1 reliever, and Romero and May. I like that a lot. I thought they did a good job. Thought they could have made a lot more moves, but with the deals that they did make, I was pretty happy. Orioles, I thought they did a really good job. Didn't know Rutschman was going to go. I definitely thought they're going to try to compete next year. But Basayo, with them having Alonso at first, Basayo, they want to give him more run at catcher. But they got a good haul. I mean, I've seen a little bit back and forth of like how much Ianson is worth. And even Witherspoon as well. How maybe they could be relievers and that could tank their value a little bit. But just on paper, you get a starting catcher he may be, quote unquote, not a great starting catcher in Narvaez, but a true MLB starting catcher, at least a really solid backup for I think he has 4 more years, but he might just have 3 more years after this. Thought that was really solid. And then to get that and then 3 of the Red Sox top 5 prospects, I thought was really solid. For a guy who's been on the injury list 3 times this year, who's one of the best defensive catchers, but it really sucks to see, end of an era for the Baltimore Oriole fans, but I thought they got a pretty good package for him. And the only team that I have left is who were sellers, who I thought were losers at the deadline, and it's the Reds. I didn't hate. I mean, they traded with the Cardinals for international bonus pool money, which they got Caleb Ferguson, a lefty, basically just takes Romero's spot. So, but you get more bonus pool money. That's whatever. But I was just a little surprised with the Twins buying. I thought Stevenson could have gotten a decent, trade package, as him and Rutschman only being the only real right-handed hitting catchers. I thought they could have made something happen with the Yankees. But them holding on to Stevenson and Singer made them losers for me. I can't even remember what move they were so underwhelming. I can't even remember what trade they made. I know they made at least one. Who did they trade? They didn't trade Eugenio Suarez. Thought that was an L. They did trade a first baseman that was a former Ranger and National, Nathaniel Lowe. That's kind of a whatever trade. Thought they could have capitalized on J.J. Bleday. I was just a little. I mean, he does have more control, but so maybe they, want to keep him. But I was just a little confused with those 3 deals that they didn't make, and that's why I have them as losers. But I'm probably gonna make a couple more videos. I'll try to cover every team. This was 10 right here. It makes sense to just do 2 more videos and cover every team. Although, obviously, not every team's going to get... They didn't do a whole lot, or it was kind of underwhelming, so maybe they won't get more than a minute or 2. But thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. I totally forgot to mention that the Moises Ballesteros trade, him going to the Angels for a reliever, although Zephyr does have control, I think that's a huge swing for the Angels, who did just trade their starting catcher a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, over to the Rangers and Logan O'Hoppe. I don't know if Ballesteros can stick at catcher, but if he can hit like he's shown flashes of, that's a big get for the Angels. But turning a reliever, even if he has 3+ years of control, to a guy that could anchor your lineup for half a decade, it's a huge win. And it's just a good swing. I mean, how much more value you can get from Ballesteros compared to a reliever who at most is going to give you about 1 WAR, like really good relievers. But I thought that was a really good trade. I just forgot to mention it.